You're watching Bet Rivers Pro Football Weekly on the Bet Rivers Network.
Live, or maybe not. You don't know. These days with video and phones, you have no idea what's live. This could be AI. Brandon Stokley and I might not even exist, but we do. And there's a lot to talk about today. It's Bet Rivers Pro Football Weekly with former NFL player Brandon Stokley and me, Adam the Bull. Nobody outside of Cleveland knows who the hell I am, but that's all right. Brandon, how are you tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great, Adam. Doing great, buddy. How you doing?
I'm excellent. I'm excellent. The football season is well underway. A lot of excitement. Although I am a Bengals fan, so I'm not feeling good about that because Joe Burrow's out probably for the season. That's just brutal.
No, it really is, especially after the year he had last year.
Yep.
They committed to trying to bring a bunch of guys back to make another run to the Super Bowl and sign Chase, sign Higgins, Gesicki, and then also, obviously, Hendrickson this offseason. So they put a lot of resources in it. And, you'd like to see the guy stay healthy. He's one of my favorite guys to watch play. He's so dynamic, so good. And their offense is so much fun to watch. So that was a bummer. I know it's a bummer for all the Bengals fans out there. I like Browning. Can he hold down the fort if Burrow can get healthy, early December, middle of December? But that's a bummer. It's a bummer for all for people that just love watching the NFL. So it's a shame that he got hurt. That's 3 times in 5 or 6 years.
What's it like being on a team when you have a top quarterback? Obviously, you played with top quarterbacks. When that top quarterback gets hurt, how tough is it for the rest of the team to overcome that?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It's devastating, especially when you have somebody like Joe Burrow, where you're looking at your team, you're looking at your roster and saying, we can make a run to the Super Bowl with this group. And now you look up and you're still going to play hard, right? You got a job to do. But you kind of know that, man, it's going to be a lot more difficult, especially in that division.
It certainly is in that division. And, the Ravens are 1-1. They bounced back against the Browns last week. The Steelers did lose this past week, but we know the Steelers are always competitive. We know how good the Ravens are. I think the Ravens were already the team to beat in that division, but they've got to increase their lead, wouldn't you say, with that injury?
Yeah. I think it's theirs to lose for sure. Pittsburgh was disappointing this past week. I just thought they would have more juice at home. They were down. They ended up tying it up, and then obviously we all saw the play on the kickoff when after Seattle kicked a field goal that gave them a touchdown. But I was a little bit disappointed with Pittsburgh's offense and their defense at home. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what it looks like there moving forward.
Let's go back to last week here for a minute before we look ahead to these games. You had a great week. We both had great weeks this past week. You went 4-2 with your picks on this show last week. So if people bet with you, they did great. You had the Niners -3. That was a winner. You had the Bills -6.5. That was a winner. You had the Steelers -3. That was a loser, 2-1. You had the Broncos -1.5. That was unfortunately a loser. You had that was me. I had the loser there. You had the Broncos and Colts under 43. That was a loser. Yeah. But you had the Bucks +2.5. Bucks win it outright. And you had the Chargers and Raiders under 46.5. That was a winner. So a nice week for you, Brandon. 4-2 on this show. That's
all right.
Big.
I'll take it. I love it.
Anything over 500 is huge.
Yeah.
4-2 is a great week. So good job out of you. I went. I think I went 4-2. No, I went 3-2. I only had 5 picks last week. I won with the Harold Fannin over yards. I won with the James Cook over yards, and I won with the Panthers +6.5. They lost by 5, and then I lost my 2 Broncos bets. I had the Broncos -1.5. And I had the under, same as you there, and that did not happen.
Yeah, no, that wasn't even close.
No.
I mean, I thought it was going to be a low-scoring football game, and the Broncos' defense didn't show up at all.
No.
Broncos' offense showed up, and then they had the game won, and they just gave it away on a leveraging call. I mean, give me a break. What are we doing NFL. Come on.
No doubt. Some of the calls this year have been weird. What do you think about this? Speaking of weird calls, before we get to our games, what do you think about all these penalties for like celebrating and stuff like that? Are you like this at all, or what do you think?
Well, it just kind of, depends on what the celebration is. Obviously, they relaxed the rules since I stopped playing in 2013, so it's a lot different now. And so I think when you get to a point to where you say, okay, well, when is it too much? How much can you push it before I get a penalty? So guys are always going to push the limit to see what they can do before they get a penalty. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's a tricky deal because you start letting guys celebrate and they're gonna take it to a whole nother level. So, but the penalties overall are it drives me nuts. Just way too many.
Yeah, it seems like every play there's a penalty. It drives you nuts. All right, well. If the fans bet with us, they did well. Again, Brandon 4-2 last week. I went 3-2 last week. We're going to try to pick some winners for you again this week. Let's start with a game that you like, the Rams and the Eagles. The Eagles are a 3.5-point favorite in this one in Philadelphia. Eagles are 2-0 on the season so far. The Rams come into this one. They're playing well. The Rams come off a victory over the Titans, 33-19. So both teams right now are 2-0 on the season so far. But you like the underdog in this one.
I do. They could have beat them last year in the playoffs. They had Philly on the ropes, and then a fumble by the running back Williams really cost them. So I think they match up well against the Eagles. They're not scared of Philly. Obviously, that's a tough place to play. But give me the points. I mean, I don't know if Philly, obviously they're 2-0. They haven't looked great. They're offensively, Jalen Hurts, so give me the points here and the Rams.
Matthew Stafford's one of the older quarterbacks in the league. He's 37 years old. But clearly, now that he's healthy off an injury last year, he's got plenty of juice still left. I mean, he threw for almost 300 yards this week. Or last week.
He missed all the training camp. So, as the season progresses, I think you're going to see him get better and better.
You think Matthew Stafford, this is a tough question, but you think he's a Hall of Famer? I think he's like right on the borderline, I feel like. I'm not sure. What do you think?
Without looking at his stats, I would say yes. Obviously, he was in Detroit forever, played on a bad football teams. But, man, the guy can throw the football. And I'm sure he's put up a ton of yards. And then he goes to the Rams and he wins a Super Bowl there. So, if you're asking me right now without really diving into the stats, I say eventually he gets in.
I think so, too. I'm leaning in that direction, especially if he closes it out with another year or two of really high-level play. I think that could put him over the top. Agreed. All right, let's get to the next game on the docket, the Commanders and the Raiders. The Commanders are 3.5-point favorite in this one. And unlike the last game, you're going with the favorite here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Commanders. They haven't won a game. They're going to be hungry, and they got to get a win. I'm just not a believer right now in the Raiders at all. I know they won the first week, and that shocked me in New England. Obviously, the Chargers beat them the other night. So, they're sitting at 1-1. I just think Washington's the more desperate team here. And again, I'm just not a believer right now in the Raiders.
Yeah, Geno Smith, who's usually at least reliable in terms of, accuracy, had a terrible game last night, and he's thrown one touchdown and four picks in the first two games of the season. I mean, Geno's, solid NFL quarterback generally, but you don't expect him to throw a lot of picks. That's one of the things he's good at, but he's been throwing it away a lot. What did you think of that right off the bat yesterday?
Yeah, the first play, interception. So obviously 3 interceptions in a game, it's going to be hard to beat a really good Chargers team. So you got to take care of the football. Like you said, he's done that well, and he's been able to make some explosive plays over the last few years. But right now, new coach, it's only their second game together. Now they're going into their third game. So sometimes it takes a little time.
I mentioned right off the top, we talked about the Joe Burrow injury. So let me get to this Bengals-Vikings game, Brandon, because I got a couple of picks here. The Bengals, despite, playing terribly in week 1 and the Burrow injury in week 2, are 2-0. And they go to Minnesota this week. They've lost their quarterback as well, the rookie. So I don't think we expected in week 3 for it to be Jake Browning against Carson Wentz. but that's exactly what I have. And you mentioned Jake Browning's a good player. I think he's one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league. In fact, he's probably better than 5 or 6 starting quarterbacks in the league. And he played really. I mean, I say he played really well. He threw 2 picks against the Jags, but he made and those are some mistakes, and he'll make his mistakes. But he makes a lot of good throws, and he has good chemistry. He's played with a lot of these guys before, and the Bengals just have a lot of weapons. Ultimately, I thought the Bengals were the better team coming in. I think Browning personally is better than Wentz, and the Vikings are struggling too. So I'm going with the Bengals plus 3.5, and I'm taking the over. I think it's going to be a high-scoring, close Bengal win. What
I like that. I like both of those, and I'm with you. Jake Browning, when he filled in a couple years ago, he was really good. And so I like his game, and that group, they have confidence in him to go out there and get it done. Jamar, T. Higgins, Gesicki, all that whole offense, the whole team. They believe in him and what he can do for them. So they're a confident group over there in Jake Browning. Carson Wentz, we really haven't seen him in a while, it seems like. So and to your point, Minnesota offensively has been really struggling over the first couple weeks of the season.
Oh my gosh,
I like both of those.
Yeah, outside of the fourth quarter in the first week against the Bears, they've just, that offense has looked absolutely terrible. All right, next game, the Jaguars and the Texans. I got one play here in this game, and that's the Jaguars. The Jaguars blew that game last week. They outplayed the Bengals for a lot of the day, and the Bengals pulled it out late. I like the way Trevor Lawrence, I think we all thought Trevor Lawrence was going to be good out of college. It's been an ugly start to his career outside of one season. He's on his 3rd head coach. And I've watched him play these first 2 weeks, and I really like what I'm seeing from him. I think the arrow is pointing up on Trevor Lawrence. I like the skill position talent they have. And so I see, and on the other hand, I feel like the arrow's pointing down on the Texans. Their offensive line's a disaster. It looked like they had so many skill position players, but right now, like even Nico Collins hasn't looked amazing so far. Their running game's a big question mark. I know Nick Chubb was okay, but he's not the same player he was. So I like the Jaguars to bounce back and win this game. So I'll take them minus a point.
Yeah, the offensive line for Houston stinks. I mean, they could not block anybody in the second half against Tampa Bay. C.J. Stroud, you got to take some pressure off him. You got to give him some time. And Tampa was just relentless. And they can't run the ball. So when you can't run the ball and you can't pass protect, I mean, what are you supposed to do? I mean, C.J. Stroud, people saying he's taking a step back. Well, he needs some help. And so it's hard to get the ball out of his hands. And then when he does have time, all of a sudden you're sped up a little bit because you're used to getting hit so much. Yeah, I don't know what Houston's doing offensively. Their defense is really good, though. They got a really good defense. It's a new offensive coordinator. They fired their offensive coordinator after last year. So, yeah, I think it's going to be one of those close in-division football games.
What do you think of this? I mean, a lot of the rookie running backs have struggled early, but Bishal Tootin from Jacksonville, I thought he ran really well last week. I didn't know that much about him coming out of college, but I was impressed the way he played last week, especially.
Yeah, you got the new coach there, and you got Travis Hunter. So you got some new weapons there around Trevor Lawrence, and you got the steady ATN. So it's going to be interesting to see what it looks like under Liam Cohen offensively moving forward with Trevor Lawrence, if he can progress and get back to where he was a couple of years ago.
Let's talk about the next game. This is an interesting one because you've liked the Steelers early this season and you've liked the Patriots. They're playing each other this week. You had to go against one of the teams you liked early. You're going against the Steelers here.
Yeah, they let me down last week. I can't forgive them for that. They should have won that football game. That one hurt me. Hurt me. You're at home. It's your opener at home. Well, I mean, what do you get? Seattle's traveling across the country towards the East Coast. I mean, that's a game that you win. And you just couldn't close it out. I don't know what their defense is doing. I thought their defense would be better. And offensively, it just doesn't look like they're in sync right now. New England had a hard-fought win. That was a crazy game in Miami last week for the Patriots. Crazy game. Special teams returns all over the place. And so I like Mike Vrabel. I like what he's bringing to the table. Drake May's a stud. So it's in New England. I trust New England more than I trust Pittsburgh right now. So give me the Patriots.
All right, folks. Hey, if you're not betting at Bet Rivers, I don't know what you're doing. You jump in there now. You can bet on all these games we're picking for you. Bet on whatever you like. We got baseball, football, tennis is huge here. And speaking of football specifically, players who place a qualifying same-game parlay of at least $10 on eligible NFL or NCAA football games at Bet Rivers will receive one standard entry into the weekly Squares game. Winning standard Squares will be awarded a prize of a $20 bonus bet. See the app and website for more details. All right, next game on the docket, the Seahawks and the Saints. The Saints have been pretty bad. I mean, I think we all expected the Saints to be bad this season, and they haven't disappointed. They're 0-2 so far. Seattle 1-1. They lost their home game. They're back at home. They're a big favorite, obviously 7.5 points against the Saints, and you like them to not only win but cover.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints stink, all right? Yeah. 49ers went on the road last week and took care of business. I like betting against bad football teams, especially on the road. In Seattle, I played there for a year. The 12th man is real. That place will be rocking. And they got a good, solid team. They just went on the road last week and beat Pittsburgh. So they got some pros over there. They're well coached. They got a solid football team. And so I don't think you're going to see a letdown game. All of a sudden, when you go on the road, you beat a team like Pittsburgh, you come back home, sometimes you can overlook the Saints. Oh, the Saints, they stink. But I don't think this team will. I think they'll take care of business and win by double digits.
And Jackson Smith and Jigba for Seattle, the latest Ohio State Buckeye wide receiver to just blow up so far this season. First game against the Niners, 9 catches, 124. Last week against Pittsburgh, 8 catches, 103. Man, Brandon, as a former wide receiver, LSU and Ohio, you could make a better if you said to me, would you take all the LSU and Ohio State wide receivers in the NFL or every other wide receiver in the NFL, I would take the LSU and Ohio State guys. It's crazy, those two schools.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable the amount of talent that those two schools have put out over the last handful of years. It really is impressive.
Yeah. It's absolutely incredible. They all come in, they all perform. All right, next game, I'll go to a game that I like, and that's the hometown Browns here playing the Packers. The Packers are just playing great football. They look as good as any team right now. They've been absolutely tremendous to start this season. Micah Parsons has made an impact already, and he's just getting settled in. They've held 2 really good offensive teams in the Lions and Commanders to a total of 31 points. Now you're playing a Browns team that has no offense. Joe Flacco looks like he's 60, not 40. He was terrible this week. I love Joe, but it was ugly this week. And, we're already talking here about will they go to the rookies at some point?
What do you think, Adam? When do you think you're going to see one of the rookies? And is it Gabriel first?
It will be Gabriel first.
Okay.
I'd go to him right now, personally, or the next week or two. I think it's going to be week 6 because their schedule is just crazy to start the season. They're playing Green Bay, then they play Detroit after that, then they play Minnesota, who's not very good, but the game's in England. You're probably not going to make the change then. Then they got to go play Pittsburgh. And how good is Pittsburgh? But they're always a thorn in the side for the Browns. Cool. I would think after that Pittsburgh game, you got to see what these kids got at some point.
Got to,
right?
You got to, yep.
So I think that's what they're going to do. But for this week, I mean, Green Bay is to be over a touchdown favorite on the road. I mean, that doesn't happen very often. I just don't see how the Browns can stay in this game. I like the Packers minus I think it's 7.5. We have it now. I don't know. Am I crazy here? Can the Browns stay in this game? I know their defense is pretty good, but they just get no help on the offensive side.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, Green Bay's playing at such a high level now, and Micah Parsons hasn't even been playing, half the snaps right now. So,
which is amazing.
It really is. And they're feeling good. They're feeling good. Offensively, they're firing on all cylinders, and defensively, they look great. So yeah, I'm with you on that. That's going to be a tough one for Cleveland.
All right, let's get to the 49ers and Cardinals. We got another pick from you here. The Niners at home for this one. They're a 1.5-point favorite over Arizona. They obviously beat New Orleans without Brock Purdy last week, and you think they'll get it done again this week?
I do. I like Arizona, but man, last week, holy cow. I mean, they were blowing out Carolina. Next thing you know, you look up.
Yep.
And Carolina scores 2 times, and they kick an onside kick and get it. They have the ball down 5 with 1:40 left to go in the game, and they have a chance to win it when they were down 3 scores in the fourth quarter. It was insane watching that football game. I just trust the 49ers more. I do. With Christian and even with Mac Jones. Even with Mac Jones as a quarterback. And not Brock Purdy. At least he's got 1 week under his belt. Give me the home team. It's pretty much a coin flip game. I'll take the 49ers.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. I'm not a believer in the Cardinals. I don't love Mac Jones personally, but at home, a heavy dose of Christian McCaffrey. Listen, when Christian McCaffrey's healthy, and he appears to be right now, the guy's an unstoppable force. So I'm going to lean with you on that one. All right, let's get to these last 2 games. I got one in this game, and then I know you got the Lions, not Ravens. But let's start with the Chiefs and Giants on Sunday Night Football. I like the Chiefs -6, and I know the Chiefs haven't looked great here, obviously, to start the season. They're 0-2. But I think a lot of people are jumping off this Chiefs bandwagon. They got smoked in the Super Bowl. I'm not ready. I'm not burying the Chiefs just yet. I think you do. You bury Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce at your own peril. The Giants, they're not any good. The Chiefs are going to take care of business in this game. I think they're going to show everybody they're not dead yet, and I think they win this game by double digits.
Yeah, I'm not burying the Chiefs either. I'm just not doing it. Too many people are doing it. They've been in the Super Bowl 3 years in a row. This team just finds ways to get it done. And so until I see them not in the playoffs, Then I'll say, all right, they're done. They're finally finished. Right. But they seem to figure it out every single year. So
they do.
I'm with you. I think the Giants, man, they blew it last week.
Yes.
Bounce back from that.
Yeah, that's a brutal, brutal loss. And like you said, I mean, last year everybody was picking when the playoffs started. Everybody was picking the Bills and the Ravens, and in the end, I know the Super Bowl was bad, but in the end, it was Mahomes again. All right, Monday Night Football. This is a great game. I mean, how could you not be locked into Lions and Ravens? We both got a pick here. Let's start with your pick in this game.
Yeah, I got the Ravens. I think they offensively with what Lamar's been doing, it's just on a whole nother level. They got so many weapons there. I thought Derrick Henry would have a better game last week against Cleveland, especially after that fumble the week before. And I think defensively, they'll start to get it going there. But it should be a really good game. You saw Detroit bounce back last week and put up over 50 against Chicago and Ben Johnson. But give me the Ravens in this one.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Ravens. I like the Ravens too, but my pick in this one is the over. And it's a high over at 51.5. But these are 2 of the best offenses in the league. I don't think there's any doubt about it. I know Jared Goff can be inconsistent at times, and people are critical of him, but he's played a lot more good football than bad football since being in Detroit, especially since the start of last year, and he struggled in week 1. He bounced back. Both these teams have so many good weapons. This is the best skill position group that Lamar Jackson has ever had. We know what the Lions have there. Jahmyr Gibbs bounced back of a big game. I don't love the Lions defense. I do like the Ravens defense. I agree it's going to get better as the season goes, but I don't think it's going to be great in this game. And I see this game being, I could see 60-plus points in this game. Yeah.
Especially with what you saw last week from Detroit. They have a new offensive coordinator, obviously, and it looks like they're finding their rhythm, and they got as much talent as anybody in the league on that side of the football. So should be a fun week, Bull. Should be a good one.
Absolutely.
Week 3.
Let's give everybody the recap. For Brandon, he's got the Rams -3 at the Eagles. +3.5 at the Eagles. The Commanders -3.5 at home against the Raiders. The Patriots +2 at home against the Steelers. The Seahawks -7.5 at home against the Saints. The 49ers -1.5 at home against the Cardinals. And the Ravens -5 at home against the Lions. My picks for this week, the Bengals +3 at the Vikings. The Bengals and Vikings over 41.5 points. The Jaguars -1. The Packers -7.5 in Cleveland. The Chiefs -6 against the Giants. And the Lions and Ravens over 51.5 on Monday Night Football. There it is. Hopefully we'll have another good week as we've done so far. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thanks to Tim and Alex for producing today. Thanks to Brandon Stokley for joining me, as always. I'm Adam the Bull. We'll talk to you next week on Bet Rivers Pro Football Weekly.
Thanks for watching Bet Rivers Pro Football Weekly on the Bet Rivers Network.